now, Reverend Wanda, as she brings us Cast Your Nets on the Other Side. God, I'm so goofy.
No, you're fine.
Sorry. Sorry, everybody. Nice job.
Well, that's what, there's no set rules. There's no set rules here at Unity. Okay. I feel the spirit here today. Who else does? Is it? Yeah. And have you noticed how bright and tall our flame has been burning? Yeah. It's like, there's some metaphysics going there.
You gotta pull that wick up.
Huh?
You gotta pull that wick up a little bit. So that's why it's working real good now.
So good morning and welcome, friends, members, guests, and metaphysicians. We're going to practice some metaphysics this morning, okay? And I trust you find Unity a place where you and your questions are welcome. And just take a moment and look to your left and to your right and say hey to your neighbor. Everybody know? I gotta tell you, that's my favorite part of going to church. Is I get to say hi to everybody. Okay, now let's just take a deep breath, a few breaths. And we're going to welcome the inviting spirit with this invitation. In the sacred awareness of divine presence, I open my heart and my mind to wisdom and the inspiration that flows from within. I release all that concerns me and let peace enfold me. In this awareness, I rest in divine love, knowing that I am protected, I am strengthened, and I am healed. I give thanks for these blessings, and so it is. Amen. I've noticed the theme this morning of kind of change and abundance, and that works really well into this message. So Unity is a practical, progressive spiritual movement based on the power of affirmative prayer. We embrace Jesus of Nazareth as our way shower and as the example of a Christ-filled life. We learn from a variety of sacred texts metaphysically interpreted, and we may be what Mark Hicks, founder of TruthUnity.net, calls himself metaphysical Christians. Knowing that truth transcends our own individual worldview and our own culture, time, and space, we journey together forward, embracing one another, evolving, welcoming, and affirming. So today, for a little metaphysical practice, let us begin with this passage from the Gospel of John. Now, John is one of the easiest ones to metaphysically interpret, so I'll probably go back to him quite often. This is in John chapter 21, verses 1 through 6, and I always try to read from two different interpretations. And this is the New Revised Standard Version. Okay, after these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias, and he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana of Galilee, and two others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. And they said to him, well, we'll go with you. And they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, children, have you no fish? Have you? And they answered him, no. And he said to them, cast the net on the right side of the boat, and you will find some. So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. And then in the message, after this, Jesus appeared again to the disciples, this time at the Sea of Galilee. And this is how he did it. Simon Peter, Thomas, nicknamed Twin, Nathanael from Galilee, the brothers of Zebedee, and 2 other disciples were together. Simon Peter announced, I'm going fishing. And the rest of them replied, well, we'll just go with you. And they went out and got in the boat, and they caught nothing that night. When the sun came up, Jesus was standing on the beach, but they did not recognize him. And Jesus spoke to them, good morning. Did you catch anything for breakfast? And they answered, no. And he said, throw the net off the right side of the boat and see what happens. And they did what he said, and all of a sudden there were so many fish in it, they weren't strong enough to pull it in. There's a whole lot more as this story continues. Jesus goes on to actually cook their breakfast. It's really interesting. He actually cooks for them, and he provides bread as well. But that's another part of the story. We need to take baby steps, so we're going to do the first one. And this passage is what some biblical scholars call a living parable. Okay? It wasn't a teaching that Jesus did to his disciples. It's a living parable. In practice, now we're going to practice metaphysical, okay? Everybody, you might want to take notes. Okay, in practice, this is what I do. I first read the passage literally, like exactly what happened. This happened, and this, and that. Who said what, when, and where. Then I imagine the story, what it would look like if it was done as a play, or a movie, or a TV show, you know. And at that point, I imagine the details, what the setting looks like. You know, it was dawn, so I imagine dawn, they're on the shore. I used to go fishing with my dad, and I can always tell you it kind of was smelly, so, you know, like I'm getting that, all my senses are involved. I'm smelling, I'm seeing, I'm hearing the ocean. So I see all the colors. It's all the colors. I imagine all the colors. And I imagine the expressions. Because these guys were fishing all night. They were tired and they were dirty. And here's this stranger saying, I don't know what, you know. So I imagine the tone, the whole deal in my mind. And then I set up a timeline just to help me stay in sequence, okay? And knowing that people and places represent states of consciousness, I write out each person listed, then each place, and then each important object. And I start with the most obvious, and I work my way down. So who was present? Jesus, post-resurrected. Okay, this was after the crucifixion. And at first, the disciples did not recognize him. Jesus metaphysically represents the I am. Okay? It is God's idea of humankind in expression, new life, and transformation of the mind. Susan's going to get this right off. Now we've got 7 of the 12 disciples, 5 of whom are named. Peter represents faith. Thomas represents understanding. Nathanael, who is also known as Bartholomew, represents imagination. James, discernment. John, love. And the 2 unnamed disciples, who could be of the original 12, maybe not, but we make the assumption that it was. My first thought is how painful it was for these men following the crucifixion of Jesus. So you know that these men were still, on some level, suffering through grief. And I thought how wonderful it was that they were still together. On a human level, that the act of the rabbi, as painful it was, didn't break the bond of the disciples. That was my first thought. So we have water, the Sea of Galilee, and water, depending on the circumstances, represents the churning of thoughts or cleansing ability. And the Sea of Galilee, Galilee represents the rolling and the turning, a circle or a band, a circuit of energy, moving energy. And metaphysically, it's the energy of life, the activity of life, and the energy of the soul, which is the mind, the power, force, or energy in conjunction with substance. And here's a real fun one. Fish represent the multiplication and having the ability to produce new growth and abundance. The net is that part of our mind that catches thoughts. Thoughts that swim in and out all around in this field of energy. It's what catches our thoughts. All right, who took notes? Nobody? Is a lot, I know. We have everything we need for a new understanding of this passage, and it really is quite simple. Here's my version. If things aren't working out for you, maybe it's time you cast your net on the other side. Our minds, our lives can simply be changed through the use of the power that resides within us. Those thoughts rolling around in our heads, if correctly chosen by the use of our innate powers, our higher self, will bring new life of abundance and growth. Eric Butterworth, in his book, In the Flow of Life, describes it this way, and I paraphrase. The disciples, who were mostly fishermen, were plying their trade on the Sea of Galilee. After a whole night of work, they had caught nothing. At daybreak, symbolizing the light of consciousness, they returned to the shore, returning from the churning thoughts. Tired and discouraged, they came upon Jesus, whom they did not know at the time, who suggested they try again. They should cast their net on the right side of the boat. And just imagine their reaction. After all, they were the experienced fishermen. What could this person know? And I wonder what compelled them to do so. And I only could come up with faith and hope. So they cast out their net, as he suggested, and caught more than they could haul. Butterworth goes on, it is a matter of consciousness and not in the will of God or the fickle finger of fate, and that consciousness can be changed. The disciples in consciousness were out of the flow of life. By the sheer act of casting from the other side of the boat, they changed their whole experience. This means that by the device of turning in thought from negative to positive, all thoughts of inefficiency to attitudes of confidence, one may alter one's whole experience from failure to success. So here's my take. We know that the disciples represent our innate abilities. By imagination, we can imagine, we can visualize abundance for our highest good. With understanding and discernment, we can choose right action. By faith, do the work. By faith, do the work and cast our nets. And with love and in unity, because no one goes it alone, bring into manifestation all that we need, all that we are, whole, complete, and in the flow of life. By one act, by choosing where we cast our nets, by turning the other cheek or changing our perspective, what A Course in Miracles calls choose again. For most of us, if not all of us, we see the world in one form or another, abundance or lack, love or fear. Is Unity's nets empty or overflowing? And what about your net? Is it overflowing? And how we see the fill of our nets will determine how we experience our lives. Kyle Greenfield, founder of The Joy Within, says it well. Abundance is our natural state of mind, which underlines every experience we have in this world. There is a whole lot more in this passage, but I find baby steps work for me, and I'll stop here. I'm just happy to be in the boat here at Unity, and therefore my life is overflowing. Okay, so let's spend a little time in meditation. This is an abundance meditation. In this meditation, we're going to explore the true nature of abundance. Abundance is not a circumstance or a condition. It has nothing to do with how much money you earn or how many close relationships you have. These conditions are temporary. You are passing through them as you move through your life. Abundance is never temporary. It is permanent. It is your natural state of mind, which underlines everything you experience in the world. But if you are not attuned to it, you cannot recognize it. If you cannot recognize it, you cannot enjoy it. Thus, the first steps towards experiencing true abundance in your life is to prepare the mind. So, take a few moments and just breathe deeply. And allow your mind to focus only on the motion of the air in and out of your body. Our goal today is not to achieve abundance. Today, we are simply focusing on our awareness. And as you breathe in and breathe out, and focus on the in and out, the movement within your body. And as you continue to breathe in this focus, your mind will become more receptive. As you continue to breathe in, now out, let your heart open. Now invite positive experiences into your life. Relax your mind. Relax your body. And just continue to breathe in and breathe out. am breathing in. Now I am breathing out. Today we focus on the breath. Rest in the movement of the breath. Now I am breathing in. Now I am breathing out. Open your heart with each breath. My heart opens to abundance. Whatever it is you would like to do, whatever it is you would like to achieve, whatever you would like to have in your life, begins with your state of mind. Abundance, joy, and prosperity begins in your mind. Breathe in and breathe out. This is the secret to abundance. Take a few more deep breaths. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and bring your awareness back into this space. I believe that all manifestations of abundance begins with the practice of gratitude. The poet Rumi is quoted as saying, "Giving thanks for abundance is sweeter than abundance itself." So I wish you happy Thanksgiving. May you be well, may you be loved, and may you be at peace.